Strike three for Leclerc, and the Rangers have advanced to the championship series for the first time since 2011. 12 years, and the Rangers are heading back to the ALCS. We don't know their opponent just yet. It's either going to be the Astros or the Twins. Right now, the Twins are on the ropes. Could end up having an all-West ALCS, and the Orioles look on in defeat. And, hey, this Orioles team, a great season for them overall, but this Rangers team, at the end of the day, I think the saying, it keeps on going. The cream rises to the top. This Rangers team is full of talent. A lot of great players on this team. So many good bats in this lineup. Solid pitching from both Eovaldi and Montgomery leading up to this point. I think Bruce Bochy, though, is such a key for this team. I think the way he has come in and he has changed the culture for this team, and not even just this team, this organization, right? You've got people that are leading this team. They're serious about winning. They're serious about spending money. And in the end, it really paid off for the Rangers this year. It's a fantastic-looking team right now. I mean, they were definitely up and down this year. Overall, I mean, they looked really good to start things off this year. They really slumped a couple of times. It looked like they were going to miss the playoffs at one point. And going into the final weekend, you didn't even know if they're going to make the playoffs, right? That final week, you were in that tight race with the Astros and the Mariners. I personally thought the Mariners were going to find a way to get on top. But in the end, the talent on this Rangers team was just too much to overcome. And here we are. And the same thing goes for this series as well. This is a good Orioles team. I've watched this Orioles team all year, considering my Red Sox have gone up against them quite a few times. And they're just a tenacious team. They're just a relentless team. I actually thought when they had the bases loaded there a little earlier, I was wondering, man, are they going to do some damage right here and make it a little close? But in the end, it is what it is. George Yang, I think you have a good point there. The AL East, they started strong. But in the end, the AL East kind of felt like the weaker division compared to the West in a way. Where this West, there's just so much talent in this division, just between the Rangers and the Astros alone. I mean, the Mariners, obviously a great team, great pitching this year for the Mariners. But this Rangers team, the bats that they have, how deep this lineup is, it's just such a good offense, man. And yeah, they went quiet there for a little while, but they figured it out in the end. The Orioles, I have to give a lot of credit to the Orioles this year. They were a great-looking team, but I was a little worried that the Orioles were going to kind of be like that Giants team from a couple of years ago, winning a bunch of games in the regular season, but they just didn't have enough talent in the postseason. Remember, the Giants lost to the Dodgers in 5 games. The Dodgers were just the more talented team, and usually, yeah, we see teams get upset. We have seen that in the past, and that's where maybe that messes with my mind a little bit when it comes to making the predictions and it comes to, making my picks, is because I've seen just, you never know what's going to happen in the postseason. The teams that are supposed to win don't win. The teams that, you think are going to do well, they just completely fall flat, and it is what it is. But the Rangers, the one thing we all do know is that they got superstars on this team with Seager and Semien alone. Eovaldi, I think, was a huge pickup. And I think Nathan Eovaldi, to me, when you really think about what he brings to the clubhouse, this is a guy I paid attention to a lot with the Red Sox over the years. He battled his injuries. He had his ups and downs with health. But Nathan Eovaldi, this is a gamer. This is a guy. He's a winning kind of a player. And I thought that was such a great pickup for the Rangers. I predicted, I'm not very good at predictions, but that was one move that I saw happening, or the Rangers going after Nathan Eovaldi. And in the end, that move paid off completely. Again, if we go back to what the Rangers set out to do, it wasn't that they just set out to sign free agents. It wasn't that they just wanted to make the playoffs. They wanted to change the culture. That was the big thing with the Texas Rangers. And this is it's on full display right now. This is a Rangers team They have a winning mentality. They have winning players. And it doesn't surprise me that they wanted to bring in a player like Max Scherzer, a winning kind of a player, a guy that is just a complete competitor. We'll talk about Max Scherzer here in just a little bit. But overall, this Rangers team, they just look fantastic a lot this season. Yeah, they were in danger of missing the playoffs at one point, but they have just looked so good. They haven't lost yet in this postseason, sweeping the Orioles here, sweeping the Rays in the wild card round. They're 5-0 so far. Everyone, if you can, please hit that like button for me. Let's try and get a good amount of people in here tonight. I feel like we have been struggling with the algorithm lately. Hitting that like button really will help us out a lot in the algorithm. So let's try and get some more people in here. Subscribe if you are new. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome. We're talking baseball here every day. We're going live for postseason recaps every single night until the end of the postseason. Share the show if you can. And everyone, hit that bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time. That way you get the alert. But everyone, let's kind of break this down tonight. The game has officially come to an end. We are seeing the Rangers advancing to the American League Championship Series for the first time since 2011. They made the World Series that year. And, hey, you know, that was the back-to-back years. Sorry, I'm just seeing something on my phone here. Back-to-back years, they made it to the World Series. It almost feels like a similar team where you just had so much good talent on those teams with the Rangers as well. Question is will they have enough to get it done this time? But right now, they're in a great position. And we'll get to the championship series here in just a little bit. But let's actually just go over tonight's game. I mean, there's really not much to talk about here. When you look at just what the Rangers did here, it was that second inning. All right, Corey Seager. Well, actually, let's go to the first inning. Corey Seager got to start off with the home run, and that really just set the tone. Set the tone there. And then the big inning in the second inning, the 5 runs, Garver with a 2-run double, and Adolis Garcia basically putting the nail in the coffin at that point. Sure, there was a lot of baseball left at that point, but it just felt like it was over, you know, for the Rangers there. Nathan Eovaldi, he just pitched fantastic tonight. He went 7 strong, 7 Ks, 98 pitches. That's the stat line I love to see for a pitcher in the postseason. 7 strong innings. Enough of these guys pitching 4 and 5 innings. Nasty Nate, 7 strong tonight. That's a postseason start right there. That's what you want from a guy that you bring in the offseason to help try and bring you to the promised land. We're got a super chat coming in. B&B, $1.99. Tomorrow the Astros won't hit. They got it out. Or are you saying, okay, because they had so much offense today, they're not going to have any offense in the next game? Is that what you're saying? We'll have to see. But we'll talk about that series in just a little bit, but we definitely have to dive into the Rangers and the Orioles here. We got people trickling on in. Again, everyone hit that like button for me. The live like goal for tonight is 100. Help us get to 100 likes if you can. B&B, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Really appreciate that. But the story of the game for the Rangers here, it was that second inning. That put the nail in the coffin. They didn't look back at that point. That's the way you got to start. And, you know, you're probably wondering, you know, the Rangers, they took the 2 in Baltimore. Coming back, you're wondering, could maybe Baltimore get something going here on the road? And they had Dean Kramer on the mound. It was looking like it was going to be Kyle Gibson at one point. And I'm going to be honest with you. I actually think that ended up being, I think, the blow to the Orioles. I personally don't think Dean Kramer was the right choice. I said that yesterday. I didn't really go too deep into it on yesterday's stream. I just didn't like the move of Dean Kramer. You know, I've watched Dean Kramer pitch this year, and my Red Sox with their offense this year, you know, sure, not a great team overall for the Red Sox this year, but they hit Dean Kramer hard a couple of times, and I'm just worried about that matchup, you know, going up against the Rangers in a game 3. And to me, when you're down 2-0 in the series and you're going into Texas, to me, I thought Kyle Gibson was the better option. Now, would he have really pitched all that much better? I mean, well, we saw him pitch 3 innings tonight, and he actually did pretty well, gave up 1 run. But Dean Kramer, he just got absolutely nailed tonight. 1 2/3, 7 hits, 6 runs, 2 home runs. I didn't like the move. I did not like the idea of Dean Kramer pitching in this game. I like to keep things to baseball all the time on this channel, but it is something to mention. You know, Dean Kramer, he has family in Israel. And awful situation over there in Israel. My thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved with that whole situation. It's disgusting what's happening in that situation. I'm not talking about that. I don't talk about that stuff on this channel. I talk baseball here. But it is worth mentioning that Dean Kramer does have family over in Israel. And he actually even did say before this game, I believe yesterday, saying, it was in the back of his head. And to me, I give him a lot of credit for going out there and trying to pitch. I give him a lot of credit for that. Give the man the credit where it's due, because, you do got a lot on your mind in that moment. But to me, I just think psychologically, mentally, he wasn't the right guy for this situation. I think you should have gone with the veteran and Kyle Gibson here. I think you needed someone to bring some stability. Now, I'm not saying the Orioles would have won this game with Kyle Gibson. I just don't think Dean Kramer was the right guy in this role. I think Dean Kramer, I think he would have been better to come out of the bullpen, give you less time to think, right? When you're going into a game as a starter, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. You're going through your pregame routines. To me, I think it would have been better mentally for him to come out of the bullpen, because it really gives you less time to just think, and you just warm up and go into the game, right? To me, sure, he's been more of a starter this year, but I think in this situation, in this moment, that is what Kramer should have done. I would have gone with Kyle Gibson in this one personally as the starter. I think as soon as I saw Dean Kramer, I had a bad feeling about this one coming into this game. I saw a lot of Orioles fans rallying around Dean Kramer. This is a guy who had a pretty decent year. He's been a guy, he goes out there and he competes. He's kind of a bulldog out there. So I can understand maybe why you wanted to have that kind of a mentality on the mound. He's been a guy you've gone to a lot this year. I just think this wasn't the right move. I didn't like it. I just think Kyle Gibson should have been the starter today. Again, would it have made much of a difference? Probably not, but Gibson did pitch well. 3 innings, he gave up a hit and a run. We gave up the home run there. I don't know. That to me, that move really was just the final blow to the Orioles. Once I saw that, I just thought it was game over for them, and I was right. So the Rangers here, moving on to their first ALCS since 2011, and if we go take a look here at this Rangers team, just real quick, I'm just going to, we already know what's going on with this team, but when you think of the possibility of them in this championship series, in a 7-game series, that's going to open up a lot of possibilities for the Rangers here. Now, you got Eovaldi, you got Montgomery, you're set there with the 1-2 punch, but you could end up having Scherzer back. Now, don't know how I feel about Scherzer coming in off of a bit of a layoff there. He had something going on with his shoulder. Is he going to be good to go? Is he going to be effective? I think out of anyone, if you're going between Heaney and Scherzer, for a Game 3 situation, I think every time you got to go Scherzer if he's feeling okay. I wouldn't have gone with him as a starter in this series personally. I just feel like giving him a bit more time it was the better idea, and the Rangers did do that. I would imagine he's going to be activated for the championship series. It has not been announced yet. I do think they will, and I think he will end up being the Game 3 starter. You will have Montgomery for Game 1. You're going to have Eovaldi for Game 2, and then I would imagine it's going to be Scherzer for Game 3. And then, we'll talk about the Astros here in a little bit. If they do indeed end up moving on, you're going to have some pretty decent pitching matchups. 2 teams that have been really familiar with each other all year, but you could potentially see here a pretty solid matchup between these 2 rivals. And if we actually go take a look, let's go to the schedule for the championship series. While I'm pulling this up, everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me. Hit that like button for me. That's really going to help us out here. We've been struggling a little bit on this algorithm lately. If you can help us out, I'll be greatly appreciative of that. But going into the championship series, that is not starting until Sunday. I would imagine that's going to be Sunday night. So the Rangers got a bit of time here. You got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you got 4 days off. They don't even know who their opponent is. That is one thing. Is that a cause for concern here for the Rangers, right? These bats, they've been in a rhythm here. Is a few days off going to ice them? Where the Astros, let's say the Twins, maybe they could force game 5. The Astros, they're going to have a bit of a shorter layoff, right? That game 5, if it does end up getting to a game 5, that would be Friday. The Astros would have the day off. Now, the Rangers would definitely have an advantage, right, when it comes to their starters being rested on the mound. But you'd imagine, we have seen a lot this postseason where when those bats have a couple days off, it is not done well for those teams. Now, the Astros are a little different. The Astros bats looked really good today. But for a lot of these teams, we saw the Braves in game 1. They got iced. The Dodgers have just been completely iced. It's the Orioles. Sure, the Orioles, they got 8 runs there in game 2. But in the end, the offense was pretty abysmal for this entire series. So I just think I wonder about that for the Rangers. I would actually lean, my gut actually tells me that the Rangers bats are going to be fine even with 4 days off. I think they're going to be okay, right? With the quality of these bats, I think they're going to be fine, because if it does end up being the Astros, they know these pitchers very well. All right, they know how these guys operate. They know the scouting reports. So I think the Rangers will end up being fine. If it is the Twins, they haven't really seen the Twins as much as the Astros, so maybe that could be something different. It really just depends. I think overall the Rangers are going to be fine in the championship series. I'm not worried about the bats getting iced at all. But in the end, the Rangers, they move on here. They advance. And, hey, they've been a great-looking team all year. I think they have a very good shot of making it to the World Series. If Scherzer's healthy, that's going to be huge for them. That's going to be insane for them. You got a 1-2-3 punch right there. And that, to me, if you have that in the World Series, I think you got a great chance. With the Rangers, right? With this Rangers team, it's kind of one of those things where I wasn't sure what to think of this team. They were so up and down in the second half. They were in danger of completely falling apart. They were out of the playoff picture at one point. They got themselves right, ended up being a bit better towards the end of the season, but you still weren't sure what to think, right? The Rays looked really good at the end of the season. And in the end, the Rangers, they just found a way to get this going, right? And in the end, they've been the better team in the American League so far, in my opinion, out of all the teams. So let's talk about the Orioles real quick before we move on to the Astros and the Twins from earlier today. But the Orioles, what happens now for the Orioles moving into the offseason? I think it's really interesting. To me, I think the big thing that they really need to go after, they need to go after some starting pitching. Listen, I like Bradish. I love Grayson Rodriguez. I'm fine with Dean Kramer as your number 4 in the rotation. I do really think they need to go after one of these starting pitchers. I think you need to go after... You've just seen Jordan Montgomery in this series. Could that be someone you go after? I think Blake Snell would be perfect for this team. I just think the type of personality he has, and with this up-and-coming Orioles team, I feel like Snell would actually fit pretty well with this team from a personality point of view. Could you go with a workhorse guy like an Aaron Nola, who's had a lot of postseason experience? I could see one of these guys. I do really think the Orioles need to go after one of these guys. You have a core in place. You have really good young bats in place here. I'm not worried about this offense. I think you could go into the 2024 season with this offense, and I think it's fine. The starting pitching, though, they need to spend on starting pitching. They can't be cheap. They need to go get one of these guys. I would hope they're going to land one of these free agent starting pitchers. I think they need to. I thought maybe Carlos Correa could have been a guy for them over the last couple of years when he was a free agent. I thought he was perfect for them. I think he would have been perfect for them, honestly. I mean, with that kind of a player, a winning kind of a player. They need a winning kind of player on this team. I know Adley Rutschman, he's had his College World Series experience. I get that. I think they need a guy that knows the postseason. And I think the Orioles need to go out there this offseason and add guys with postseason experience. Go get Blake Snell. Go get Aaron Nola. Honestly, I think Blake Snell's perfect because he's pitched in this American League East before. He's familiar with it. I think Blake Snell's perfect. To me, they need to go out there and get guys with postseason experience. That to me, I think is the biggest key for the Orioles in the offseason. I would love to go with the Orioles as a preseason pick for the World Series next year. I would love to go with them. They need to add starting pitching this offseason, though, because Bradish right now is just, he's not, yes, he could. I think Bradish, in my opinion, is a really good number 2. That's what I think he is. I'm not leaning on him as my ace. I know he had a really good second half. Orioles fans are probably rolling their eyes at me right now. That's just how I see Bradish. I just see a number 2 guy. I would be so confident with giving him the ball on a game 2. They need a guy in a game 1. They need that guy. And that's what the Rangers had here, giving the ball to Jordan Montgomery. There was a guy that they were comfortable with giving the ball. I feel like with the Orioles, every guy that had a start in this postseason, for the Orioles in these 3 games, you just weren't fully confident giving them the ball, right? Bradish, I think, had the potential to be good in game 1. I leaned on that potential, but you still had a bit of a question mark in the back of your head, right? Will Bradish be... You basically were relying on the fact, was Bradish going to be able to live up to that hype, right? Live up to how he did in the second half. You still weren't quite sure. You're never fully sure of giving the ball to a guy in a playoff game, but I feel like the confidence level with Bradish, it's not as high as if you give the ball to someone like Blake Snell in a game 1, or even an Aaron Nola in game 1. So I'm expecting, one more time, I'll just say it one more time, I'm expecting the Orioles to go land a guy. And could you even go back to the trade deadline? Did the Orioles maybe shoot themselves in the foot a little bit? Remember, Jordan Montgomery was a guy that was popping up with the Orioles in rumors at the trade deadline. And the Orioles, they ended up getting Jack Flaherty. But to me, Jack Flaherty, you're adding a number 4 in your rotation. That wasn't going to do anything for you in the postseason. I understand the Orioles, they don't want to give up prospects. I get it. But what if they had landed Jordan Montgomery? Would this have been a different series? Would this have gone a little differently? Could have had Jordan Montgomery for you in game 1, and all of a sudden, maybe you have a different series. I think the Orioles could have done more at the trade deadline, personally. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think they shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, you got Flaherty, but you could have done more at the deadline. I'm expecting the Orioles to do something this offseason. So let's get to the Astros and the Twins. And again, congratulations to the Rangers. They look fantastic right now. They're going to be tough to beat no matter who they play in this next series between the Astros and the Twins. This is all Astros today. There's really not much to talk about in this one. The Bats got it going very early in this one. They got it going right off the bat. Jose Abreu, star of the show today, and he's been a huge disappointment for the Astros this year. Got a decent contract in the offseason. I listed him as my most disappointing player for the Astros this year. And hey, I don't know, maybe he watched the video. Maybe I gave him some motivation, because here he was today. Couple of bombs, 5 RBIs on the day. He set the tone in the first inning. You just knew when the Astros got it going in the first inning, it was done, right? Sonny Gray, this is a guy who I thought was better. It was a better situation for him at home. He seems to do better when he pitches at home behind a crowd that's behind him. Remember going back to his days with the Yankees, everything was different with Sonny Gray, but when it got to like those high pressure situations, it just feels off with Sonny Gray. I don't know what it is, but the Astros just got to him today. Bregman, Alvarez going deep today. The Astros bats, they were great down the stretch. I'm not really surprised to see the Astros perform the way they did. What is there to say here? They look very good in the second half. Their bats ranked, I believe, second in WRC plus in the second half. So I think the big key for the Astros is that they just took advantage of Sonny Gray with all the bad pitches he was making. He was leaving a lot of fastballs up. He was leaving sinkers in the middle of the zone. I mean, I could even show you here when it comes to the chart. A lot of fastballs up in the zone, sinkers in the middle of the zone, left exchange up there, right, against Kyle Tucker. Like, he was just leaving a lot of hittable pitches in the zone. He didn't have it today. He didn't have it. A lot of hanging sliders in this one. He hung a slider to Abreu in the first inning. I just got a notification there. Cubs part ways with game strategy coach Craig Driver and their bullpen coach Chris Young. So the Cubs making some moves. But yeah, Sonny Gray, everything was just hanging today. He did not have his best stuff overall. But I think a huge key, I think it's more of a confidence boost for Christian Javier Because remember, Javier was a little shaky down the stretch. Had a couple of good starts as well in the final couple of weeks. But I think today, for Christian Javier, his overall performance was definitely a confidence boost. 5 hits, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 9 Ks. He did walk 5, so the command wasn't quite there. Probably could have gone deeper into this game if he limited those walks. He had 87 pitches, but I love that Dusty Baker left him in the 5th inning because he loaded the bases there with 1 out. That was a spot where, the Twins, they've done damage in these situations. And I like that Dusty Baker left him in. I like that he just put some faith into him. He let him try to work out of it. Ended up striking out the next 2 guys. So Christian Javier, I think Astros fans, you should feel very confident about Javier moving forward. To me, if you're going to the American League Championship Series, and then you got, you're rolling with these 3 guys with Framber Valdez, Justin Verlander, and Christian Javier, very similar to last year, I think you're in pretty good shape. Hunter Brown, he pitched a little bit today. I like that he got some work in there today. So Hunter Brown, I think, the Astros starting pitching has been a bit up and down, even going back over the last couple of months of the season. Pretty inconsistent overall, even after getting Verlander. But I think Hunter Brown, I would like for him to really make an impact if they are to make it to the next round. I definitely think that could be a guy. We saw Valdez get hit pretty well against the Twins. Could Hunter Brown be a key guy for the Astros? Someone gets shelled, Brown comes in, let the bats wake up, do their thing, and then Brown can kind of keep you in the game. That's what I'm expecting out of him. Brian Abreu today. I love Brian Abreu. I think he's such an underrated guy. Brian Abreu is amazing. Mate and Montero. Hey, I like that Montero's getting some work too. Look at Montero here. Even though, it was a bit of a mop-up role, but if they can get Montero going in this postseason, all of a sudden the Astros are looking really scary. I'm just saying. So if we're going into the projections for tomorrow, I think you got to lean Astros here. It's Jose Urquidy on the mound. He has not had a great season overall, but Jose Urquidy has actually looked okay over the last couple of starts. Now remember, Urquidy was getting shelled a couple of times in the second half of the season. But if we go to his game log here, let's go take a look-see. He actually did really well against Arizona in his last start, 6 innings. He did fine against Kansas City. He came out of the bullpen, right? So they took him out of the rotation at one point. They put him in the bullpen. They were giving him some roles there. It looked like he was kind of working through some things in the bullpen. And then they eventually gave him a start at the end of the year, and he came through. So it's going to be interesting to watch Urquidy, but when it comes to Joe Ryan is someone I'm not very confident in as of right now. If you go look at the last couple of starts that Joe Ryan had, 6 earned runs against the Rockies in his last start. Angels, he was pretty good against the Angels. He got the win there, 10K, 6 innings, gave up 7 hits. I don't like the fact that even though he got the win and he struck out 10, he's giving up 7 hits against the Angels, and they were kind of a shell of themselves at that point. And if you're going up against an Astros lineup like the way they're hitting right now, that doesn't spell good news for me. The Reds, he wasn't amazing against the Reds. So right now, despite Urquidy having his struggles in the second half and going to the bullpen, I actually kind of lean Urquidy in this one. So Joe Ryan overall over his last 3 starts has a 7.31 ERA. I think the Astros, my bet personally, I know I have not been very good with my predictions, but if I'm a betting man right now, I'm going Astros in Game 4. I think they close it out. I think if they had, this is where the wild card situation comes into play, because if Pablo Lopez was able to get the Game 1 start, then you could see the Twins probably starting Pablo Lopez in a Game 4, and that's where this comes back to really haunt them. So we'll have to wait and see. Can the Twins get something going? Let's see if they can force this back to Houston, because if you're the Astros, you don't want the Twins to win this game. You don't want a Game 5. Sure, you got Verlander, but you're going up against Pablo Lopez, who's just looking really good so far in a couple of starts in this postseason and just pitched really well against the Astros in Game 2. I don't want to go up against Pablo Lopez in a Game 5. Sorry, if I'm the Astros, I am doing everything I can to end this series in 4 games. You do not want Pablo Lopez in a game 5. So let's see how that goes. But overall, I am leaning towards the Astros finishing this off in game 4. So everyone, we have 180 people in this chat. If you can, help us get to 100 likes for the stream. I will greatly appreciate that. I've said it a couple of times. We've been really slumping on this algorithm lately. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if YouTube's just not really pushing out the streams. I don't know. Conman752. Conman, man. I'm so sorry. Conman, damn, that sucked. At least they have experience now, but my God, did this prove they need to get really good starting pitching. Gibby should have started game 3 and get a good power bat that we can trust. Yeah, everything you just said, Conman, I'm right on the same page with you. I'm not sure if you were listening earlier. I absolutely think the Orioles should have started Kyle Gibson in this one. I think Dean Kramer, with where his head is at right now, I don't think that was the right situation for him. I think Brandon Hyde, honestly, I understand. He said he talked with him. He had a conversation with him. Listen, as a manager, I'm sorry, but you should know that if you're going to, hey, how do you feel about starting tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going to go. Every pitcher is going to do that. Every single one. They're not going to say no. Everyone. No. Brandon Hyde, as a manager, you have to make that call. You don't ask how Dean Kramer's feeling. Obviously, he's not feeling great. Right? I get it. There's a respect thing there. I understand. But I just think when you had the flexibility to go with a Kyle Gibson in that spot, I just think he should have done it. And I feel like Brandon Hyde he didn't make the right call there. A lot of Orioles fans, I mentioned this earlier, they were really high on Dean Kramer. They're very supportive of Dean Kramer. I've seen him up against some good lineups this year, and he's gotten rocked. I saw him against my Red Sox a couple of times get rocked. I did not like him in this game. Gibson should have been the guy. It is what it is. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Would Kyle Gibson have been any different? Would he have produced any different results with how these bats are for the Rangers right now? Probably wouldn't have been all that different anyway. In the end, though, I just think the point that you make is, yeah, they need starting pitching. They need guys. They need some horses there. Bradish, I think, is good for a game, too. Honestly, if you could, I'll say this. This is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. But I will say this. If the Orioles, if they decide, they're probably not going to do it, because knowing the Orioles, how they're operating lately with their money, they should go after 2 guys. You should go do what the Rangers did a couple of years ago with Seager and Semien, but the Orioles, they should do it on the pitching side of things. Go get Blake Snell. Go get Aaron Nola. Go drop some cash on those guys. Give you 2 guys that are going to be those horses in your rotation for the next 5 years, right? And then you got Bradish as your 3rd. And then, Kramer is your 4, or Grayson Rodriguez. He could be your 4. And then whoever, Kramer is your 5. That's what I'm doing if I'm the Orioles. I understand they're playing the long game here like a lot of these organizations are wanting to do these days. That's what I think the Orioles should do. I think they should go out, really drop some cash. I wouldn't go after Gray personally. I don't know. Sonny Gray to me, I think he's a 2 or a 3. I think they need to go after 1s. Again, I'll say it. If I'm the Orioles, go land either Blake Snell or Aaron Nola. I would lean Blake Snell personally. But if I could land both, I would absolutely do that. And can you imagine? The Orioles, they have such... And also, yes, Fat Boy, I'm so sorry. John Means as well. I completely forgot about John Means. John Means is one of those guys, though. He's historically had a higher FIP than the ERA. I just wonder... I don't know. Like, to me, John Means, he's a middle of the rotation guy for me personally. I know he's had the no-hitter before. He had a no-hitter going this year. John Means is a guy I would like to have in my rotation. He's not the top of the rotation guy. So I guess if you have a rotation, let's just say Blake Snell, Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, John Means, Dean Kramer. I think that's a good rotation right there. But I'm sorry. If I could land Snell and Nola, and then you got Bradish, G-Rod, and then shoot. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Dean Kramer, but if I could have John Means as my 5, Oh, come on. Like, what a rotation that would be. Anyway, they're probably not going to land 2. I would hope they're going to go after 1. I hope they do. So this is the moment for the Orioles to go do something this offseason. So really quick, doing a quick preview of the National League Division Series tomorrow night. Man, before I get to that, let me read the Super Chat. $5 Super Chat. I just hope Elias actually does what should have been done and trades from the farm system for maybe a Burns or someone really good. That's an option as well. Could you go land Blake Snell? Maybe go trade for Corbin Burns. And listen, I'm not as high on Corbin Burns as a lot of people out there. I think Corbin Burns, he's really good. I'm going to probably get lit up for this one. I think Burns is slightly overrated. I don't mean that in a bad way. He's still really good, but I don't think he's like this god tier picture, what he used to be a couple of years ago. I don't think he's at that mark, right, where he was unstoppable. He's not that unstoppable guy anymore, but he's still really good, right? He could absolutely still be your number 1. I would be more comfortable landing Snell and Burns. I wouldn't want to just put all my eggs in a basket for Burns, right? I would love Burns. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. I know people are going to start coming at me. I'm saying it one more time. I think Burns is very good. He's excellent. But the advanced metrics with Burns have been regressing a little bit over the last couple of years. He just got lit up against the Diamondbacks in the wild card. I'm not saying he's bad, but I would be more comfortable if you got Snell and Burns. I'm not having Burns as the ace of my staff, personally. I would be more comfortable if I have a 1A, 1B with Burns. I think of Burns is like almost like a co-ace. I don't want to put my whole rotation on him, right? So I hope that makes sense. I'm probably going to make some people grumpy with that. I'm going to get people in the comments saying I don't know what I'm talking about. I already got people in the comments saying I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm always wrong with my predictions. I just had someone earlier in this chat tell me, "Oh, you thought the Orioles were going to go to the World Series and you got it wrong. Goodbye forever," or whoever the heck that was in the chat. I don't know anything. They're predictions. You can't predict anything in baseball. So, CJ LaChapelle, how you doing? I can see the Braves winning the next 2 games. They will bat first so they can score first. Go Braves, chop on. Yeah, I think the Braves, they really established their momentum again in the game last night. An amazing game, by the way. Oh, what a great game. But right now, I think the momentum, most people were saying that the Braves, they regained the momentum. Honestly, I think it's pretty even at this point. I actually think it's pretty down the middle. I don't think the Braves have the momentum. I don't think they do. I think they have half of it. I think right now it's dead even. I think the Phillies are going back home. They're like, crap. We had that game last night, but we're not done. Right? I think everyone kind of... That's so... Let's be real here as baseball fans. We are very reactionary fans. Right? I mean, I've seen it with the polls. When I've been doing polls, right? You know, the Astros, they won game 1. Everyone thought the Twins were done. Game 2, the Twins win, and I put up a poll. Everyone's saying, "Oh, the Twins are going to win game 3." Everyone is very reactionary in the playoffs. You need to kind of... It's hard to look at the long game, and especially in a short series in 5 games. But you can't just go back and forth, right? And that's where with me, yeah, a lot of people are now back on the Braves bandwagon, but they're going back to Philly, and this Phillies team, they still played a good game in there, in that game yesterday. They looked really good for most of the game. I'm not sleeping on Philly just yet. I don't think you should sleep on them. Why? They look good. Yeah, they coughed it up in the end, But why would you sleep on Philly at this point? I don't care. I don't care how good this Braves team is. This Phillies team is really good. It's even. It's 50-50. I don't know what's going to happen in this series. It's going to go 5. So that's my pick. But thank you, CJ LaChapelle, for the $5 super chat. But right now, man, oh man, the Dodgers are in rough shape. right? The Diamondbacks, sorry, I didn't refresh that. The Diamondbacks have an 84% chance, according to Fangraphs. The only hope right now, I talked about this last night. I won't dive into it too much, but Lance Lynn, the season is riding on your trade deadline pickup with Lance Lynn. Can you just imagine this for a second? I'm going to put this thought into your heads. Remember when the Dodgers had a trade for Eduardo Rodriguez? Remember? Could you imagine if they had Eduardo Rodriguez right now? I wonder what the situation would be like for the Dodgers at this point. And now you're riding on Lance Lynn, who did look a little better in the last couple of starts. He got really rocked there in a couple of starts in early September, late August, or whatever it was. But Lance Lynn, I have a little more confidence than probably most people. I think it's very easy to see Lance Lynn just getting absolutely rocked in Game 3. But I'm also going to leave out the possibility that he could also end up being okay. Maybe like 5-6 innings, couple earned runs, 2-3 earned runs, maybe 4. I could see a start like that for Lynn, but then I could also see a start, 2 innings, gives up like 8 runs. I think it's going to be one of those. I don't think it's really going to be in the middle. I think it's going to be one of those. It's going to be either pretty solid or pretty bad. So, but for the Dodgers, the key for them, their bats have to wake up at the end of the day. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman in particular. Those guys make the world go round for the Dodgers. When those bats are asleep, they are done. They need those guys. They need them to wake up. Mookie Betts, stop being inconsistent in the playoffs. You did it with my Red Sox in 2018. You weren't very good in that postseason. My goodness. I understand you did well in 2020, but this is 2023. Let's start picking this up, Mookie. Stop being inconsistent in the playoffs. Come on. Let's go. Let's get back to that 2020 form. Freddie Freeman, my goodness. Stop hitting on top of the ball. Really drive that ball, man. Goodness. It's easier said than done. I'm just a doofus that sits at my desk. What do I know? I'm just sitting in my comfy chair in the comfort of my own home telling people to hit the ball. That just shows that, you know, what do I actually know? Anyway, but the Dodgers, they need the bats. So, and then getting back to the Phillies and the Braves. So, obviously, we talked about how the momentum has shifted back in the Braves' favor, at least on the numbers, right? I think it's personally 50-50 at this point. But you do have to give the edge to the Phillies in terms of pitching matchups tomorrow with Aaron Nola, Bryce Elder. Who knows? Maybe these Braves bats have gotten it going. Maybe they're going to get to Aaron Nola. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe the Braves bats, they've woken up, and then Aaron Nola's going to get absolutely shelled. You know, Aaron Nola's been up and down this year. So now I think it's almost like the Braves, it's almost like the pressure. It's almost like when they got shut out in Game 1, it almost kind of lifted like those expectations off of them. Does that make sense? I don't know if that really makes sense. Where obviously they had so many expectations coming in, and they got shut out in Game 1, right, or whatever it was. They couldn't hit anything in Game 1, and then it's almost just like now people had that. The thought, oh, they got iced, right? They've been sitting out for like 4 or 5 days or whatever it is. But now they've woken up. But people are wondering, is this Braves offense fully back? So now it almost feels like maybe they're putting the pressure on Aaron Nola here a little bit. Because now you got that worrying feeling about the Braves again. So who knows? I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I feel like I'm just blabbering at this point. But, hey. Gotta wait and see. I think it's 50-50 at this point. I don't like Bryce Elder in this game. I do think he will have a short leash. I think he'll have a short leash. I do think so. I think that that bullpen's going to be, they're going to be active, right? They're going to be ready. I don't think you're going to see Bryce Elder like stay in there for 4 or 5 innings. I think he's going to be pulled as soon as you start seeing some trouble. There's no confidence in Bryce Elder. So that's one thing I can give Braves fans hope for, is that you will go to that bullpen early if he is not producing. So I think the Braves, they're in a better situation than you might think. I think they can make it through this game if Elder starts struggling. And I think they still could win this game even if you pull him after like 2 innings. All right? You worry about the bullpen getting taxed for Game 4, but that's where you have Spencer Strider for Game 4. If you can use the crap out of your bullpen in Game 3, but you know you got Strider for Game 4. and you know that you can lean on him heavily. And he could give you a star of the ages. He could do that Madison Bumgarner kind of performance in this postseason, really just give you all the innings, right? You know, if that bullpen gets used in Game 3 heavily, Strider's got the ball for as long as he needs it, all right? So that's what I think. I think this is really close. I think this is, I don't know. Sure, looking at this matchup, it's not a good matchup starting pitching-wise, but you know the Braves, they're going to go to that bullpen early. So, overall, everyone, those are my thoughts for tonight. Congrats to the Rangers. They're moving on to the ALCS for the first time since 2011. Things are looking really good for the Rangers right now. Rangers fans very happy right now. Jesus was Brown. I see in the chat. Oh, what a name. He says, Robbie is cooking. I'm feeling good right now. I had a little coffee earlier. I worked on a video earlier. I've got a couple videos coming. Hope you're ready. Get your popcorn ready. But, real quick, everyone, got to talk about tonight's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. The link is in the description down below. Code is Hyde. If you can support the sponsor, I will love you forever. If you click on the link in the description and use my code Hyde, you get a double on your first deposit up to $100. Everyone, we got some pick'ems for tomorrow. I mean, we got Jose Urquidy. I don't know. Maybe I'll do some pick'ems with you, everyone. I'm going to do some pick'ems with you. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this underdog thing kind of fun. We're going to make it fun. I'm going to do some picks here. Let's do this. Jose Urquidy, you're going to help me do my underdog picks for tomorrow. Let's do this. Jose Urquidy. I'll go with the strikeouts. What do you think? Give me an over-under in the chat. 3.5 strikeouts for Jose Urquidy. Do you think he gets 3? Or do you think he gets 4 at least? Let me know in the chat. Type it in. Higher or lower? Higher or lower? What do you think? You're going to help me pick my underdog picks for tomorrow. You guys are going over. I see over, lower. 3.5 strikeouts for Jose Urquidy. Do you think it's going to be over or under? All right, I'm seeing mostly overs. All right, I'm going to go higher Jose Urquidy for tomorrow. Let's do a bat for the Astros. Let's do a bat. Let's see. Yordan Alvarez, he looked pretty good today. Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker, Bregman, Abreu. Hey, you know, I'll go with Yordan Alvarez. Alvarez has been pretty consistent in this series so far. Everyone, I want you to pick for me. Do you think he's going to get at least 2 hits, 2 runs, and 2 RBIs? I don't like those picks, actually. Whatever. Well, let's do that one. You guys are picking. Alvarez, do you think he's going to get at least 2 hits, 2 runs, and 2 RBIs? Go over, under for that one. So everyone's going under, right? Because that's tough, right? Because 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, that means you got to cover 3 categories at that point. I'm seeing a couple unders. All right, I'll go under for that. I'll go under. All right. Here we go. Let's go do a couple for the Twins. Let's do Carlos Correa. I'll do singles. What do you think, Carlos Correa? Do you think he comes up with at least a single tomorrow? What do you think? What do you think? Ooh, Jets. Breggy is actually really good against Joe Ryan. You know, I'll go to Alex Bregman here in a little bit. Do you think Carlos Correa goes higher or lower on half a single for tomorrow? I'm seeing under from Caden. I'm seeing higher from Drew. Over from Andrew. Kevin says higher. Oh, yeah, I'll go higher for Carlos Correa. That sounds good for me. Let's go to Alex Bregman, because you're right. He actually does do pretty well against Joe Ryan. So, Alex Bregman, you know what? I'm going to keep it simple. Do you think Bregman gets a base hit tomorrow? Do you think he gets at least a single? Higher or lower for 0.5 singles for Alex Bregman? I think with those kind of numbers, I think you've got to go higher at that point. So let's do one more. Let's do one more. And so that is actually... Oh, is that game tomorrow? Wait, what is today? Today's Tuesday. Oh, the game's on tomorrow? Oh, it is on tomorrow. I'm thinking it's going to be a day off. All right. So, okay, cool. So it's tomorrow. Let's do... So I got Correa, I got Bregman. You know what? I'm going to take off Urquidy. All right, let's get one for each series. So I got I got Alvarez. All right, let's do one for each team at least. Alvarez, Correa. We got Bregman. Let's do one for each team. I'll do that. Kind of just mix it up. I'll do Correa for the Twins, Bregman for the Astros, and then let's go to the Braves. Let's do Bryce Elder. Let's do Bryce Elder. Do you think this is actually a pretty tough one? Pretty tough one. Bryce Elder. Or actually, I don't know. Maybe let's actually go to some of the offensive players let's go to the splits leaderboards on Fangraphs. Let's see. With Bryce Elder. So let's go pull him up. Let's go pull up the splits. Well, actually, no. I got to go to Bryce Elder's page. Bryce Elder, Fangraphs. Oh, let's see. Let's see. So I believe, here we go. Go to the splits. Go to the splits tool. I think you can look up individual players and their numbers. I don't know. Can you? Let's go to the opponents. Verse. The Phillies. Well, I guess we can do a Phillies player. Well, actually, it only gives his number against the team. He does horrible against the Phillies. A 6.82 FIP. Good grief. Bryce Elder is horrible against the Phillies this year. Man, I think I got to go. But then again, Elder's leash might be really short. Let's do this. Let's do this with Bryce Elder. Do you think he gets 11.5 outs or lower than 11.5 outs? So that would be 369. That would be under 4 innings or higher than 4 innings. So what do you think? Do you think Bryce Elder makes it out of the 4th inning? I think he's actually going to go lower here. I think most of you are going to say under. Yeah, I'm seeing most of you say under. Yeah, I'm going to go Bryce Elder lower on 11.5 outs. You're all agreeing with me. He's not going to make it out of the 4th inning. Let's go to the Phillies. Let's do an offensive player. You know, Bryce Harper. Is Bryce Harper going to have himself a game to try and redeem himself after that, after getting thrown out at first base? I don't know. You got Aaron Nola. Could end up having a good game. Trey Turner. I feel like Trey Turner. I'm waiting for like a bust-out game from him. Schwarber. I don't know. Let's go Harper. Do you think Harper has himself a redeeming game tomorrow in Philly? Let's go 8 fantasy points for Bryce Harper. Go higher or lower, 8 fantasy points. Or Kyle Ramsey saying walks. Yeah, you know what? I actually like the walks one. I'm going to go with you, Kyle. I think that's actually a really good idea. Harper, he's been pretty patient this postseason. I'm going to go with that. And let's go one more. Let's go to the Dodgers. Ooh, who do we go with on the Dodgers? I can't pick the bats right now. I can't. I just cannot pick a Dodgers bat. And watch, they're going to end up hitting really well. The bats are just too cold right now. I mean, should we go Lance Lynn? Does Lance Lynn get at least 11.5 outs? Does he get out of the 4th inning? Higher or lower, Lance Lynn in the 4th inning. Does he get out of the 4th inning? Higher or lower? I feel like Lance Lynn could actually do pretty well. I don't know. But then again, I could also see him just getting absolutely just shellacked. Oh, I'm seeing 3 for lower. I'm seeing 1 for over. A couple more votes. What do you think? Yeah, Jets, you make a good point as well. No way Mookie goes hitless for the series, but he's been cold. I don't know. I'm very hesitant to pick a bat for the Dodgers right now. All right, I see actually a lot of you saying bets over. Let's do that. All right, I'll go with Mookie. I'll go with him. Let's do... Does he get a base hit? I don't know. What do you think we should pick for Mookie? 8.5 fantasy points. A base hit. I'll go higher on the fantasy points. Let's do that. So those are my picks. I'll drop $20. I like to do the insured picks, to be completely honest. Or I don't know. Should I just go standard? All right, make a vote. Am I going... Actually, you can't really see it. But, you can't see it. But should I go with the standard pick? Where if I get all 5, I win the 400? Or if I go with an insured pick, I get 200 if I get 5 correct. But if I get 4 correct, I get $50. I'm going to go with the standard. I'll bet 20. I can win 400. I can win $400. Let's do that. Alrighty. So, I don't know what's going on with that, but I will make sure those picks get put in. Everyone, I'm out of here. I kind of went a little longer than I wanted to tonight. But everyone, thank you for stopping by tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night. If you can, everyone, on the way out, please hit that like button for me. I will greatly appreciate that. We really got to start going with this algorithm again. I'm not sure what's been kind of like going on with that. Real quick, here's the screen. So if you can, hit that like button for me. Help us get to... Did we get to the 100 likes for tonight? Did we get to the 100? Oh, we're at 99. Everyone, I need one more person to hit the like button for me. One more person hit the like button for me. We're at 99 likes. There we go. We got to the 100 likes for the night. Thank you to whoever did that. If you can, subscribe if you're new, everyone. Hit the bell notification. Share the show if you can. But everyone, I'm going to get out of here. If you can, tune in for tomorrow. Really want to get these streams kind of picking up a little bit. Feel like we started off at a pretty good spot at the beginning of the postseason. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe YouTube is kind of not pushing out the streams. I'm not sure what's going on lately. But everyone, we'll see you tomorrow night. I'll be back here tomorrow night. I'll be back here every night, right? Talking postseason. So have a good night, everyone. Have a good day tomorrow. And I'll talk to you next time.